The lawsuit by the Hinojosa family against Brown Water Marine Company and American Commercial Barge Lines was filed in the United States Federal District Court in the Southern District of Texas. This tragedy occurred on the Queen Isabella causeway, the only link from Port Isabel to South Padre Island, the United States' fourth most popular beach.
I'm at Valley Regional Hospital in Brownsville, where several victims from the causeway accident have been brought in. 3 of them earlier this morning were brought in. One male in his 50s has passed away.
We got an alarm from our 911 operatives that dispatched us to the Queen Isabella causeway. The call came in as the causeway had collapsed. They didn't explain why, just said it would collapse and cars were going into the bay.
We noticed that the bridge was missing. The bridge was just literally gone. We noticed the barge was there also, and just truck or vehicle after vehicle just going right over the bridge, not noticing what was going on at all. They didn't know what was happening to them. They just...
At around 2 o'clock this morning, the tug Brown Water 5 out of Corpus Christi and its 4 barges carrying steel coils rams into the Queen Isabella causeway. The middle of the bridge collapses, causing several cars traveling across to plunge into the Laguna Madre, leaving 4 people dead and others trapped underwater.
After extensive rescue efforts, Mr. Hinojosa was taken by ambulance, alive and severely injured, to Valley Regional Medical Center. This would be the place Mr. Hinojosa would die hours later, without his loving family by his side. Lieutenant David G. Lopez of the Brownsville Fire Department recalls the night of the accident and rescue of Mr. Hinojosa.
By the time Mr. Montoya and myself got to Mr. Hinojosa, he had been hanging there for 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Coast Guard had been there already, Fish, Wildlife, Border Patrol, and of course the police officers and EMS that got to him just a few minutes before us. When I got up to the car, I made eye contact with an individual that was hanging in this compact car. This car apparently had sailed 160 feet on his way from South Padre Island to Port Isabel. He went 160 feet where he hit the piling about 25 feet above the surface of the Laguna Madre Bay. His front bumper wrapped around it. He slid down about 25 feet. Back to Mr. Hinojosa. He was looking right up at me, made contact. He made eye contact with me. He was waving his hands at me and he was gesturing as if to say, "Come get me." He was mouthing some words to me. At the time I didn't know it, but his jaw was broken. The hood of the car and the top of the car had been crushed down to maybe about 12, 13 inches. I did not fit through there. As we were starting to slide him out, I noticed that Mr. Hinojosa grabbed the front A-post with his left hand, and I could see his muscles on his forearm flexed, and he literally helped pull himself out. With all the injuries he had sustained, it just stuck in my mind because I'd never seen that before, and I've been doing this for 16 years. They have all told me he had a great blood pressure, he had great pulse, he was packaged. We went back to shore, and the last I saw, he was headed for an ambulance and he was alive.
In 1998, Brown Water Marine Company received a warning from a top officer of the United States Coast Guard to address their safety problems. Brown at that time was responsible for at least 60 maritime infractions in only 10 years, including capsized barges, collisions on the intercoastal waterways, and a diesel fuel spill after one of its tugboats sank. Brown Water Marine and American Commercial Barge Lines were negligent on the day of the accident. Their combined negligence caused this tragic accident. The tugboat failed to see its spotlight and to spot the barge's lights and the lights along the waterway, as it was their duty to do so. Brown Water Marine and American Commercial Barge Lines caused the death of Mr. Hinojosa. But for the negligence of these companies and their employees, Mr. Hinojosa would still be with his family. Gaspar Sainz Hinojosa is survived by his mother Maria, his father Martin, wife Raquel, and 3 children, Gaspar II, Clarissa, and Omar Hinojosa. Gaspar was the first child of 67-year-old Maria Hinojosa. Since his death, she has lost all pleasure in her life. She feels empty without her son and suffers from major depression.
Hacíamos barbecue.
My son and I would have barbecues together. We would cook together and eat together. He would help me out when I was very sick. He was always in a good mood. We had good times together. He was a very good son. I've lost all that I know and all that I have. I hurt so much every day, but he's still with me every day. I miss my son. I lost my son without warning, and nothing can replace him or bring him back to me.
I love you, Papa.
Her husband, 73-year-old Martin Hinojosa, lost the only son that he really has something in common. He doesn't have fun anymore as he deals with his own pain and that of his wife of 53 years.
He was a good person, a person that when he thought he was right, he would stand behind it. You know, a show of affection. He was a very affectionate man. Like, he just believed in being, you know, a good man.
The depression he suffers along with his wife will last the rest of their lives. Gaspar II, Mr. Hinojosa's youngest child at 21 years of age, fears the isolation he is now in since the loss of his father. He misses the knowledge and wisdom his father placed upon him and the time they spent together.
The last time I saw my dad was where we went out for lunch, and we were just talking and having fun, and we were just hanging out together. I didn't get a chance to see him again until about a week and a half, 2 weeks later. We just hanged out together. We worked on my truck and fixed it up, and I'll take my dad once in a while to the movies, and it really just hang out together. I miss his friendship. I miss he was everything to me. He was my refuge. Every time I had a problem or every time something was wrong, I could just go to him and he would always make it better. He was always get me out of the situation. And it's tough now because I'm trying to deal with all the problems I have now and whatever situation it is. And it used to be a lot easier with him there. My father was a man that you can't compare him to anybody. He was in a league of his own.
Clarissa, Mr. Hinojosa's 27-year-old only daughter, is reminded of her father every day. She is not the same since her father's death. She recalls trips they took together as a family and the time she spent alone with him. She greatly regrets the fact that her father's tragic death has made her father's presence at her upcoming wedding impossible.
I was Daddy's little girl. Just the life's little lessons that he would teach us. He always, something would come up and he'd always take if something wrong would happen in our lives or something would go bad, he always took that opportunity to teach us a lesson about it. You know, he always taught us to strive hard and to just always have goals in our lives and to never give up. We'd go shopping, we'd go to restaurants, we'd go camping. You know, he was working hard. I just feel like, you know, he was there working. He wasn't there for pleasure. He was trying to earn money, and he was killed. There's been times since he was killed that I need his advice for something. I just need to talk to him. I can't talk to him. He was the one that I went to when I had a problem. just feel like they took him from me. This whole stupid accident took my dad from me. An accident that could have been avoided.
Omar, age 25, is the administrator of his father's estate. He lost his big brother and his best friend. He always made his father proud, but his father will now not be able to see him marry and start his own family.
I lost my piggyback, you know, my man, the guy that helped me make decisions in my life and be who I am today. Because I knew that now that he was gone, it's like I was alone. And I didn't have my best friend anymore, my mentor to help me with life's troubles. And the guy never quit, ever. You know, most people, when they get slapped on their knees and their knees broken, they're gonna quit. They're gonna give up on whatever they're doing or their life. And my dad never gave up until his last moments of life. Even when he was in the car, he never gave up. I mean, he had a guy had a broken leg and internal bleeding and broken arms and I don't know what else. And even the fireman has tested that this man helped pull himself out of a vehicle. He sat there for 45 minutes to an hour and never gave up. He lived for another, 3 hours? Until he found that his body just couldn't take it anymore, and it wasn't him, it wasn't his will that let him survive, it was his body, it just couldn't go anymore. But I guarantee you, if he would have had just a little bit more energy in his body, he'd still be here today. Because he wouldn't have given up on himself, he wouldn't have given up on me, or my brother, or my sister.
Mr. Hinojosa's wife, 44-year-old Raquel Hinojosa, lost her best friend and husband because of Brown and Americans' negligence. She now feels alone, but only finds joy in those times that she spends with her grandchildren.
We got married on April the 10th. We got married in Riondo. We were renting a house that belonged to his parents, next door to his parents. We would go dancing, fishing, go to the beach and just walk, watch TV, spend a lot of time at home. He was a very loving person. He cared about everybody. He was always looking out for everybody else. You know, nothing's ever gonna replace him. Nothing's ever gonna bring him back. It has totally changed my life. Nothing will ever be the same.
The refuge that used to be her husband's arms, she now finds in sleep.
He just said that he loved me and that he was gonna love me till the day he died.
Her depression and loneliness will last the rest of her life. The victims have not been forgotten. The families have constructed a memorial located at the entrance of the city of South Padre Island near the accident site. Each passing car crossing the bridge is able to see the memorial. The families do not want anyone to forget their permanent pain and loss. Dedicated to the memory of our friends who lost their lives in the collapse of the Queen Isabella Causeway, September 15, 2001.